There was, in Georgia just a few weeks ago, a deadly school shooting at Appalachia High School.
Yeah.
If you're elected, what is your plan to keep school kids safe?
Yeah, well, look, I think the most important thing you can do is try to actually increase the school resource officer presence at some of these schools so that if a bad guy, God forbid, shows up, there's somebody standing there trying to stop it. And then, of course, we want to keep, we want to keep firearms out of the hands of violent people. And I think the most important thing that we can do there is just aggressively enforce the laws that we have on the books. We've got a lot of career criminals, a lot of people who've committed gun crimes who are walking around who are not prosecuted to the full extent of the law, and I think we have to change that.
Do you feel that, in your answer, you focused on hardening the school space, hardening the school facility, and enforcing the gun laws on the books?
Yeah.
Do you see any space for new gun laws that you would support?
Well, I think the question we have to ask is, will a new gun law actually fix the problem, right? So take the current laws that we have on the books. About 90% of gun crimes are committed with illegally obtained firearms. And by the way, it's a lot more illegally obtained firearms thanks to the Mexican drug cartels who do a lot of gun running, thanks to Kamala Harris's open borders. So if you've got already 90% of the firearms that are used in these crimes obtained illegally, you have to ask yourself, what is a new law going to accomplish? These guns mostly are already illegal in the first place. So what you have to do is to make sure the guys who have the illegally obtained firearms are being prosecuted to the full extent of the law, and that's where Donald Trump and I would focus.
Another big issue here in Georgia and around the country is reproductive rights.
Sure.
Here in Georgia, commonly known as the heartbeat bill, it bans most abortions after about 6 weeks of pregnancy. It's under litigation right now. Recently, a Fulton County Superior Court judge struck down the law as unconstitutional. Do you support Georgia's heartbeat bill?
Well, look, I don't know the full details of Georgia's heartbeat bill or the litigation that's happened over it. I think what Donald Trump and I have said is that as president and vice president of the nation, we're going to focus on things like lowering food prices, lowering housing prices, securing the southern border, and then we're going to let Georgians make their decision on abortion policy in the same way we want Alabamans to make their decision, Californians to make their decision. And what it's going to lead to is a lot of different states are going to have different views on this because different people in those states have different values. But I think that's the way that it was originally designed in our country, is that the voters in these individual places would make these decisions. I don't feel like it's my job to tell Georgia what they want to do. It's my job as the next vice president to try to make life more affordable, goods more affordable, and to secure that southern border.
I do know that Georgians, I'm sure, would want to know how you as an individual see this issue, though.
Sure.
Where do you see the role of government in restricting or not restricting access to abortions?
Well, look, I'm a guy who wants to protect as much vulnerable life as possible. I want to save as many babies as possible. I also think, as I said at the debate the other night, that, look, Republicans, we've got to accept that we've lost a lot of trust from a lot of people on this particular issue. And so where I think that we got to focus if we want to encourage young families to choose life, which is very much what I want them to do, is you got to make it easier to have a baby in the country in 2024. I think part of that's lowering housing costs and undoing some of the Kamala Harris inflation. Part of that is expanding the child tax credit, is making sure that young women and young families have access to as many options as possible. I've just seen very personally that a lot of young women who feel like they can't bring a baby to term, it's because they feel like they don't have options. So I think one thing we can do at the federal level is to increase those options, because I personally do. I want more people to choose life.
Is there a limit, though? I mean, I just want to make sure we don't misquote you and we represent your views accurately. Is there a point of pregnancy where you would say that's too far along to have an abortion?
Well, look, I think certainly my own view here is that late-term abortions are something that I think 90% of Americans can agree is ridiculous. I think most Americans, they sort of want to draw the line somewhere between 12 and 20 weeks. My attitude is I want to save as many babies as possible, and it's not my job as vice president to tell Georgians how to live their lives.
Yeah, a lot of people tell us that it is harder for them to afford housing in particular.
Of course.
If you're elected, what is your plan to make housing more affordable in Georgia and across the country?
Yeah, well, the number one issue, actually, when I hear people talk about affordability is housing. So not surprising, that's a big concern from a lot of Georgians. It's a big concern for a lot of Americans. The number one thing that we should do to make housing more affordable is to build more housing to begin with. That's about lowering energy costs, drilling more for oil and natural gas, making it easier for truckers to deliver building materials to the building site. Just build more housing. That's the one thing that we have to do.
Senator, I want to end with one last question. It was one of the last ones at the debate as well. No matter who wins this election in November, will you support the eventual winner?
Yeah, look, of course. We believe that we're going to win this election. We want to have a free and fair election. We're going to fight as much as we can for election integrity. I fully expect to be the winner, but we're going to support whoever ultimately wins this election.